Good day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live classical music channel. I'm Anna Spinskaya, and I'll be your host today. We're connecting musicians and audience in real-time live performances and music news now from around the globe. The topic of today's program is focusing on creativity in the artist's reality and life. We're going to introduce sound espressivo judge Anzél Gerber. We want to empower musicians with new tools, enrich with new thinking, expand horizons of what's possible, what can work, what can be a source of joy and success for modern performing artists. Cellist Anzel Gerber joins for an interview today and is going to focus on creativity, very important topic for everyone who is engaged in music performance and music creation. What does creativity mean for today's artists, young and seasoned? What does Ms Gerber do, and how does she approach creativity to her own inspiration so it doesn't go wear off through the burdens of daily routines and practical life? To meet Anzél Gerber and other artists of her caliber, apply to Sound Espressivo by November 30th. Sound Espressivo online competition is where musicians are truly supported to present their unique talent, their individuality. It is an opportunity to engage with audiences and the world in a present-day technical environment, to be reviewed and guided by well-known artists, judges from around the whole world. Sound Espressivo is bringing the future to the music industry, to the artists, educators, and audiences of today. Founded and managed by professional musicians, Sound Espressivo competition aims to empower artists of every instrument and all walks of life. Sound Espressivo gives an opportunity for the contestants to present themselves to a supportive panel of established veterans in the field. Immediate live feedback from judges. No more silence about what and how you did well or maybe not so well. Contestants receive unedited and uncensored comments right after they perform. They can really connect with judges, ask questions, take away valuable guidance for their growth and development. No time limit. You are not going to be stopped in the middle of your performance. No repertoire restrictions. Choose the pieces which represent you best. Present yourself as an artist on your own terms. Technical support by experienced crews who will prepare your text so you look and sound great and don't need to settle on compromising your presentation to fit some technical limitations and other challenges. Prizes which keep giving more opportunities long after the competition is over. Performances, scholarships, coachings, promotional services, and a lot more. Check us out. In this season, coming up to the semifinals of the competition, we're presenting judges of Sound Espressivo. Competition created by community of musicians, music educators, music managers, with the purpose to make a difference for young musicians, for teachers, parents of music students. I would like to invite to the stage cellist Anzél Gerber. She's in our studio. Welcome. It's a great pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be part of this wonderful experience and to be part of the Sound Espressivo competition this year.
It's a great honor to have you together with us and discussing one of the most elusive topics, yet one which is really present in everyday life of anyone who is aspiring to be a musician: creativity. Yes, you chose the topic.
Yes, indeed. Creativity is something that I think is so special with all artists, because we wouldn't be artists if we didn't have some sense of or feeling for creativity. And that spark of creativity that's in all of us is something that one needs to nurture right from the start, also in the students, and also especially for musicians. I think it's really what makes that difference between just a musician and someone who's really a true artist when he's or her or she is performing on stage. And I think when there's that creativity, how you listen creatively when you perform, and how you how you present the music in a creative way, is what really makes an artist special. And I think that's something very individual, but also something that one can nurture also through experience. And I think in this way, it's so wonderful that Sound Espressivo competition also gives opportunity for young musicians and students also to participate and almost explore their own creativity, also by having wonderful options where they can choose maybe their own works that they compose, that they want to perform. And it's also so free, this competition, that I think it's part of the spark to almost create creativity also, and a platform where creativity can be showcased. And I think
that's interesting. You
wonderful place.
mentioned the freedom, which every artist will say, to be creative we need freedom, and
Yes.
the requirements and other restrictions are box, which makes people feel boxed in and
Yes.
not able to create. Yet when the field is completely open, that presents other challenges, because we're so used to being required, restricted, and channeled into a certain direction. When you offer
Exactly.
people a creative choice of repertoire, creative choice of length of performance, and they can perform their own pieces, sometimes people may feel lost at how to approach that.
I think we are so used to competitions where we are prescribed. You have to perform the sonata or maybe a movement or three from Bach's suite, and then you have to perform a Baroque sonata, and then maybe a Beethoven sonata for the cellist, and then the third round maybe you have a bit more freedom sometimes to compile a recital program, but it's always boxed in with a time limit. So sometimes it's so tricky to find repertoire also that fits in that time limit, so that you don't go over the time and the judges will stop you or you get penalized. So this is really wonderful, where performance where young performers can then present what they feel that they are almost best at, and they can showcase what they are playing almost for themselves as their favorite piece or set of pieces. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity. It's a different type of competition, but it also gives young musicians the freedom to also decide for themselves what they are actually presenting as an artist, and almost to think, who am I as an artist overall? If I what is my strong points? Because I think in today's world it's very important to focus on your own strengths, and not to just try to always do everything, but maybe to also discover, wow, I can do this very well, and I want to present this kind of music or that type of style. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity that this
This is an
competition has.
extraordinary helpful advice, and you, as a very creative artist, are finding your own voice. I mean, you found it already, and it's presenting it all over the world in your concerts and masterclasses, and you're a very active artist. But I want to also play one of very unique things you've done, and I believe that's really extraordinary. This arrangement.
Thank you.
We have prepared the arrangement which you made, and I would like you to speak a little bit about why you made it. What's
Good.
interesting about that? It's a new upcoming publication, I believe, right?
Yes, I've already published the sheet music of it. I made an arrangement of many sets of violin pieces because I love the violin repertoire so much. I grew up with a sister playing violin, and we always had violin music and cello music at home, and we performed together also chamber music, so it was always so wonderful. But the violin, I was a little bit jealous as a child when I grew up, because I love those virtuoso pieces and all those beautiful romantic pieces. And sometimes I thought, oh, the cello is so slow, it doesn't want to, I can't play so fast. And because the violin is so small, you can reach the top of the violin
Well, but
so quickly.
you can play anything on the cello. Let's have that recording showing
Good.
what can be done on the cello. It's
Yes,
astounding recording.
That's a recording of Bazzini's, Antonio Bazzini's Le Rond de l'Auteur, which is the dance of the goblins, almost the dance of the elves also in English.
stunning recording. Oh my gosh. If anyone
Thank
is
you.
in search of a real acrobatics on the cello,
Yes, it's a lot of fun to play this piece. It was also hard work initially because some of the techniques I needed to develop that, and also because some of the notes I first had to search. Are there such notes on the cello, and how do I find them? Because I discovered a few new ones.
oh my gosh.
So it was lovely to go through that journey, almost to because it was, I love that piece so much. And my father, we always loved to listen to different recordings, and Maxim Vengerov playing that. And I just loved it so much. And once he said, but why can't you play that on the cello?
Because it's not for cello.
So it was for me a challenge to say, but why? Why can't we play it? And because it hasn't been played before. It hasn't been played before. But that's why I wanted to investigate what causes the cello to be sometimes so slow. What do we do in the technique that we can actually almost improve or add to the technique so that we can play it fast enough, and that it can be done on the cello. And
so there are a few new techniques involved in your arrangement?
Yes, there are some false harmonics that I discovered, and also what I worked on was how to create that lightness and that more almost that looseness and lightness, so that one can play fast enough. Because usually, while the strings are so almost thick again, if one compares it to the violin, and also the
farther away from the
much
board,
further
right?
away from the fingerboard, so that's why you need much more power. But the problem is sometimes when we really play with a lot of power going down, with weight going down to get the string down, it's too heavy to move. So I had to find that balance, how to create that lightness. And I think it's a wonderful journey to discover that, because it's initially I got very tired also. I could only play maybe a little bit, and then I would feel, my arm is already tired, and the piece is 5 minutes long almost, So one needs to have stamina also. If you need to play it for a concert, you can't just play 5 minutes. You need to have stamina to play it a few times actually, at home, in order to play 5 minutes on stage. So I needed to build the strength also, almost like an athlete, training and knowing where to spend energy and where to almost just hold back and save it for the rest. So it was an interesting journey, and I think there's still a lot that one can do with it. One needs to develop that.
Now, in your publication, you published the arrangement, and I don't know if you have the book to show us.
Yes, I have it here
that would be
close
lovely.
by. So it looks like that. Oh, sorry, the cover looks like that. And it's published by Apol Edition here in Vienna. And then there's also a cello part, obviously, with the cello arrangement inside. So it looks like that, and it's very easy to almost to read.
What I'm very curious to know, in that publication, do you give a preface, some explanations
Yes.
for the cellists to understand what they need to, how they find those notes?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. I think I wrote it also in such a way that so there are some fingerings in it, so that one can almost see where I play it, and if in doubt, they can always contact me, and I also offer lessons, so whatever. I would love to help people also, and get it out there for students also to play, and for other professionals to add it in their
Do you
repertoire.
anticipate any student would be capable of learning this arrangement?
I'm always astonished how wonderful the younger generation of cellists are doing, and how virtuoso they are, So I think I hope that this will become almost like standard repertoire in future, for other young
It
players.
certainly is a
also.
very popular piece, and
Yes, it's a
just about
wonderful
anyone
piece
who
by
knows
Bazzini.
anyone who knows anything about music heard it or will hear it.
Yes, no, but I think it's wonderful because Antonio Bazzini is actually known primarily for this piece, but
That's true.
he was such a famous violinist at his time, and he was touring the world. Actually, Niccolo Paganini heard him also play as a youngster in Italy, because it's also from Italy, obviously, Antonio Bazzini, and Paganini encouraged him to actually become a touring artist, a soloist, a solo violinist, and he composed this piece when he was also staying in Paris and when he was touring a lot as a solo violinist. But then he returned to Italy, and he was teaching music theory and composition at the Conservatoire in Milano. And it's very interesting that two of the very, very famous composers, Mascagni and also the other opera composer
Puccini?
Puccini. They were both students of Bazzini in
No
Milano.
kidding.
So it's very interesting that actually Puccini and Mascagni are so well known, for their famous operas. But it's actually, if one thinks, it was Bazzini who sowed those seeds, who planted those little seeds of creativity and helped them to almost on their journey to become those great opera composers.
So they were studying composition and music theory and, obviously the music analysis and all these really
Yes.
essential subjects for the composer with Bazzini in Milan.
Exactly.
That's
in
fantastic.
Milano, yes.
I want to underscore that because that's not a very well-known information. However, it's
Yes,
a
it's-
chain of tradition being passed.
Exactly. And so it also shows you that artists, when they give something special, you never know what can grow from it, and I think that's also important for teachers to always, nurture talent and respect every student and respect that talent and give everything that they possibly can to nurture the talent, because one never knows actually as a teacher how much talent a student really has. So I think a lot of great artists got underestimated by their teachers, like Pablo Casals. His teacher also said he's told his father, no, nothing will come from this cello playing.
Except the
Obviously,
greatest
should actually
cellist
stop.
ever lived, right?
Exactly. So I think it's very important, and I think it's a long journey, and it's an individual journey for every student, for every musician, for every artist, and one can never say it's too early or too late. I think the main thing is to nurture that talent as much as possible every day, and as an artist to be open and to also always listen creatively when you practice, when you perform, and to think creatively also in your way of handling yourself. Also, one must also be patient and but also give that talent a chance to grow. And I think it takes a lot from the parents, it takes a lot from the teacher, but it also takes a lot from yourself to have that dedication and that patience, and also to enjoy the process and because it's such a privilege to play an instrument or to do music. And I think it's very important that every day that we wake up and we have that privilege to be healthy and to perform, that we realize that we must be creative, and that we really enjoy although it's such a hard work as well, but that we find that joy in that creativity. And I think if we can always be creative in our practice sessions, it's also a wonderful, wonderful process, and it's so enjoyable into practice.
That's so important that you mentioned being mindful of our own selves and really respect our own talent, because like you said, one can't know for sure how much talent a student has got. It's a very long journey,
exactly.
and these developments are very hard to predict, and same applies to our own selves.
Yes.
We don't really know the depth and the width of our talent until
Yeah.
never, probably. We only know at the current moment how much we have developed, but what's
Exactly.
going to come out from tomorrow if we apply creative approach to practicing and everything involving the musical
Exactly.
profession,
Yes.
then the unknown starts opening up. Our abilities become much more than what we even expected them.
Exactly, and I think it's very important to take opportunities to learn and to express yourself, and that's also an opportunity to grow. And I think that's why it's very important to take part in competitions and opportunities to perform, especially Sound Espressivo. I think it's a very creative competition in that way, where you can really grow as an artist also, not just think that you get judged almost like in a box. Sorry. But that you can really show something special of what you create also at home when you practice, or how you think about music, how you listen to music, how you listen to your sound, how you create with sound. And I think in this competition, that's also what I think that the judges listen for, is how does that person, how does that musician create sound? How does he communicate through sound? And I think it's so wonderful that one can choose then which pieces you would like to present, and also have the opportunity to have a virtual concert hall and have many people listening to you, not just restricted
To one
few
physical
people.
location, exactly.
Exactly.
And some
Yes.
contestants are able to perform from a location where they have the physical audience present. We had that last year, and
Yes.
I'm expecting we're going to have that here today. So it can be combined. One does not exclude the other. Of course, it's an
Exactly.
addition. So that's a very very solid opportunity, and I hope
Yes.
some
Yes.
contestants at least are able to take advantage of it, to have their own physical audience be there when they perform for the
Yeah,
rounds of
that's
the
great.
competition.
Yes.
Exactly. So, and I want to still circle back to the creative approach and the takeaway for future contestants of the competition from today's conversation with Anzél Gerber. I want to underscore a couple of things. She decided to explore how to play one of her favorite pieces on the cello. The piece was written for violin and by virtuoso violinist, for very virtuosic, accomplished violinist, and it's not suitable for cello. Let's just face it, not suitable. But she made it suitable. She discovered through the journey of creative approach to her instrument and to the composition, she discovered new notes on the cello, new ways of playing them, new ways of physically moving with your instrument to be able to do things which may not have been discovered before. So that's the nature of the creative approach. It's searching, experimenting, looking for something which is uniquely yours and may have not been done before.
Exactly.
Would you say, Anzél, this
Yes, exactly. That was a
kind
very
of in the
good
ballpark?
description. Yes. No, I think it's very important, and I also did research on creativity and on gifted music education, on gifted cellists around the world, and it was very interesting when I was in Korea. I went to the Korean Institute for the Gifted in Arts. And the head of the department was a cellist, Professor Lee. And it was so interesting to speak with him. And because I was also investigating how they assess talent and how they manage talent, especially for the gifted young children between the ages of 6 and 17 years in different countries, in Russia, in Japan, in China, Korea, then in the States and in England, and also in Austria. And it was very interesting that one of the aspects that they test, even if the child doesn't really play cello yet, they test the ability to be creative. And they test it in different ways, because sometimes they test it when it's domain specific, also with the instrument, but also they test creativity, how you think creatively in many ways. And it was very interesting for me that they try to nurture creativity as much as possible at that institution, regardless of whether you do music or dance or any other artistic form. They nurture creativity, and I think that's something that we as artists always need to think about, and to see how we can also work creatively with sound, with the way we think of music, and also to try and get impulses from other arts and from other maybe things in parts in life, not just to sit with the instrument, but also
and fight it.
No.
Not just be disappointed. Oh, bummer. I'm playing cello. It's slow. It's big. It's heavy. What a bummer. Exactly.
Yes, I think we can learn from so many aspects in life also, and I think it's important to stay open and to be like a sponge, and then to digest and think about sound also, apart from your cello or from your instrument, to always create it first in your mind and in your heart and ears, and then know, okay, that I want to try on the cello, or that sound I want, and then to search for that, and then through the muscle memory and through the inner hearing, it'll all come together, hopefully.
That's right. Yeah, it's a journey of searching and
Yes.
creatively looking for that particular sound, or maybe you heard a bird, and a lot of composers, that's how they
Yes.
get their inspiration, from nature and from like a sponge,
Yes.
receiving various sound worlds and environments. Yep.
Yes.
And that research you mentioned is very, very interesting. And hopefully we will have another conversation on that sometime in the
It
future.
would be
And
great.
if you have a
Thank you.
publication on it, we would like to, or preparing a publication on it at some time in the future, we would like to be able to introduce our audience to that, because
Thank you very much.
that is an
Thank
important topic. How do you really nurture the creativity? Because creativity in the end is the biggest drive and the biggest motivation. If the person is motivated to
Yes.
create and feels accepted as a creator, then the parents don't have to really crack a whip over the head of their children
Yes,
and
it must
saying, go
have
practice each other.
the inner motivation needs to be there, I think, and that's very important also to have that inner motivation. Why do you want to play? What do you want to communicate with your audience? And I think
Yeah, and that too needs to be nurtured. I agree with you
yes,
completely. That was
exactly.
a very important thing you mentioned, that creativity itself, just like motivation,
Yes.
needs to be nurtured.
Yes,
Absolutely.
but it's wonderful also. It's also the one thing that keeps you going as an artist, to wake up in the morning and to search for new things in your piece, or new sounds, or a better way. So there's never an end. We as musicians will never be bored, I think. So there's always a better and a different, and yeah, so it's wonderful to be a musician and to have that privilege to be creative as an artist.
Thank you, Anzél. That was tremendous pleasure to host you on our program.
Thank
And
you
I would
so
like to
much.
continue this conversation forever, but unfortunately, our time is coming to the end, and we'll have to say goodbye to our audience. And first of all, thank you for taking time and sharing such an insightful view on creativity today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it, and all of the best with the competition. I look forward to listen to all the participants soon. So I hope there will be many entries.
Thank you. And with this, I would like to thank our audience and our viewers. Please keep track of our schedule and come back again. We are here almost daily until the semifinals of the competition in December 16th through 19th. And once again, for those who are considering to apply. The deadline to apply is November 30th, in just 2 short weeks. Maybe it's time for you to start thinking what's your own individual creative voice, because the competition welcomes you on your own terms, the way you want to present yourself. And I also want to thank our wonderful crew of supportive producers from virtual concert halls, and today's director of the show, Ante Božić Kudrić. By his magic hands, all the things you saw on the screen and our voices were so good and clear. I thank you very much for supporting those programs. And again, I want to thank History of Music Facebook Classical Music channel for their support and help to present these programs. And with that, we're going to say goodbye for now, but not for very long. We'll see you, Anzél, at the rounds of the competition.
Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.